D-Lo 404 Boxing and More here. Shout out to the LDBC. Shout out to the LDBC. Hey, to my subscribers, I want to say thank you and welcome back to my channel. To my repeat viewers, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, I ask that you please subscribe, whether you're a repeat viewer or someone that's new to the channel for the first time. Please hit that like button. Drop a comment in the comment section as well. So, I want to talk about Alexander Usyk and his win over Tony Bellew right quick. First of all, I want to say I have the utmost respect for Alexander Usyk for his accomplishments at Cruiser. He done a phenomenal job bringing all the belts together. He got in a tournament where he couldn't pick and choose who he fought. He fought the guys that won and advanced, and he did his job to continue to advance as well. And he decided to hold on to the titles and defend them. So with that being said, I have to take my hat off to him for that. Tony Bellew was an accomplished cruiserweight who moved up to heavyweight and defeated David Haye twice. He came back down. I think Bellew had to lose somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 35 pounds to get back down to cruiser, which is below the 200-pound limit, which I'm not sure why Bellew was fighting at 235. I guess that was a comfortable weight for him at heavy, but I mean, honestly, all he had to do was fight at 205, 201. I mean, heavyweight's 200 and above, but he was at 235 and he had to come down. So he came down, he made weight, he felt good. He felt comfortable at the weight. He didn't look weight drained at the weigh-in, and got in the ring in the early parts of the fight. He was doing great work. I felt like he won the majority of the rounds prior to the stoppage, prior to him getting knocked out. But I felt like Bellew really gave a great account of himself in there, especially for a fighter who was talking retirement going into the fight. I've never been one that's high on a guy going into a fight when he's already basically telling us that regardless of the outcome, he's retiring after the fight. Because a lot of times when guys go into fights with that mentality, their will is easily broken in that fight once things don't go their way. But that said, Bellew done a great job, gave a great account of himself. You can't take away from Usyk. Usyk did a good job setting up his punches later in the fight. And the 8th round came, he landed a 1-2 that closed the show. And he did a phenomenal job. And maybe 1-2 isn't the right terminology, but he landed a jab left hook that closed the show. And Bellew was clearly done at that point. Even had he gotten to his feet, I think it would have been inevitable that he'd have been stopped. If he got to his feet and the ref let it continue, he'd have got stopped later. But not to take anything away from what Usyk did, I just want to say, in my opinion, all of this Usyk going up to heavyweight and, becoming the man or beating the champions there and all of that, it may be a little premature for that. I think we need to at least see the guy at heavyweight. Not see him versus a guy coming down from heavyweight to cruiserweight before we pass judgment and want to go ahead and crown him the next big thing at heavyweight. And that seems to be a going theme today. Let's put this into perspective. Had Bellew beat David Haye, had David Haye beat Bellew in those fights 2 times, or even if he beat him in the second fight by knockout, will we be saying David Haye is back and he is the heir apparent to the heavyweight throne? I don't think so. And we've seen David Haye at heavyweight. David Haye is a proven heavyweight. He's just not a very accomplished heavyweight, but he did win the title. He did win, I think it was a WBA title. And Vladimir Klitschko politely lifted that off his hands. But aside from that, I mean, David Haye had some, he had a little bit of a reign at heavyweight as a WBA champ. And he was a devastating puncher, and he dominated at cruiser before going to heavyweight. So I just want to say, if we wouldn't be clamoring for David Haye, saying that David Haye is the next big thing at heavyweight once again, if he beat Bellew, let's definitely not do that for Usyk, who just beat Bellew at heavyweight, coming down at age. I think Bellew's 35, shedding 35 pounds to fight at a weight he hadn't fought at in a couple years. I think all of the praise and all of the accolades and adoration is a little premature. Now, that doesn't take away from what Usyk did in the fight. That doesn't take away from what Usyk did prior to that fight. I think Usyk is the real deal at cruiser. Not saying that, I mean, styles make fights. Who knows how he looked against certain people. I don't think anyone's unbeatable. Even Floyd Mayweather, who went 50-0, I never felt Floyd was unbeatable. Against the right guy with the right game plan, who stuck to his game plan and had the ability to adjust to Floyd's adjustments, he could have been beaten. But at the end of the day, to beat a guy, that guy has to cooperate. Floyd never was willing to cooperate with his opponents, so he remained unbeaten. But I've never seen a boxer that I just felt like was unbeatable at any weight. I've seen guys that campaign and they at moments they look like there was no one in the world that could beat them at their weight. And I'll give an example of Roy Jones Jr. as he was climbing up through the weight class. I felt at certain weights he looked unbeatable. But that said, 175 was one of those weights. And I clearly saw Roy knocked out at 175. And the Montel Griffin fight, Montel Griffin did great work in there before Roy knocked him out, but he got disqualified because Griffin had dropped to a knee. But I felt like it was inevitable. Roy was going to beat him. But, that said, I want to see Usyk stay at cruiser. If he goes to heavyweight, I like to see him, in with maybe some top 15 guy that's closer match to his size, not some, guy that's way bigger than him. But, style make fights. Who's to say that he can't get in there with some 6'8" heavyweight and give him that business? But, I want Usyk to make sure that he's done everything he wants to do at cruiser before he goes up. Because I don't want to see him go up to heavyweight and either lose or struggle or whatever the case may be and decide to go back down to cruiser. And then when he goes back down to cruiser, he's not the same fighter for having put on the extra weight and having to come back down, and then he gets beat by someone who wouldn't have beat him under other circumstances. It's the same thing I say about Errol Spence. I don't want to see Errol Spence move up to 154 then back down. I want Spence to be done with his business at 147 before he goes up to 54 or 60. But once again, shout out to Usyk. He done a great job. Shout out to Bellew for giving a great account of himself. It's probably one of the best fights I ever seen him in every fight that I've seen in his career. I think he did a phenomenal job of bringing the fight to Usyk, and he had a good game plan and he exercised it to near perfection. But at some point, he got baited into a trap, and Usyk did his job and got him out of there. Once again, shout out to the LDBC. I'm moving on. Appreciate it. Peace.